Hey, happy Thursday, and welcome to you. All kinds of wackiness going on out there in the world because there are a lot of Democrats out of their cages and off their chains, and that can mean nothing but trouble. For example, at the White House, they have this guy, Cobble Kirby. You know Cobble Kirby, he used to be a naval officer, and now he's a naval gazer. He's a naval gazer. He's circling his navel, and quite remarkable, but he got an email from the people at Fox News, the digital something or other at Fox News. And he apparently didn't know that the Fox News people were on this email thread, and he responded in a rather embarrassing way. But you can completely ignore veterans, combat veterans, including a member of the House of Representatives, a member of Congress who's a combat veteran who wanted to share with the White House what veterans were saying. And Cobble Kirby, well, he couldn't have been more dismissive of the concerns of American veterans. Kind of ironic, since he's a veteran himself. He wasn't exactly on SEAL Team 6 or anything like that, but I've got that for you. Remarkable. And did you see Joe Biden yesterday put on, he didn't know what he was doing apparently, but now they're trying to say he did know what he was doing because they're very comfortable lying all the time. But Joe Biden, he put on a baseball cap yesterday, and it's a Trump 2024 baseball cap. And he put on the baseball cap, and he smiled, and he had no idea what he's doing because remarkable stuff. Now, most people, as I understand it, don't even remember this, but Michael Dukakis, a Democrat, was running for president, and his handlers, he had handlers, they put him in a tank, like a military tank, big steel thing, with tracks and a cannon, and they put him in the tank, and they gave him a helmet, a tanker helmet, and he put on that, and he looked like a complete maroon. He looked like a character from Charlie Brown or something, and it may have cost him his candidacy that very moment. That little, it's kind of like the Howard Dean scream, the hee-haw from Howard's. And yesterday, Joe Biden put on the Trump 2024 baseball cap, a red baseball cap. And the White House is trying to tell everyone that he knew what he was doing. It was just he was bringing the country together. It was about unity, which means that they're lying because that's something that they're not. They're not about unity. Don't be silly. Don't be ridiculous. But it was a funny moment. I'll describe it to you in graphic detail since we're on the radio and not the television. But remarkable stuff. We've got that. And and Hillary Clinton, she fell down 8 years ago yesterday, September 11th. And they, you remember, Michael, they lied about it then, too. You remember then? It's not like they just started lying, the discovery of lying happened a long time ago, but pretty amazing stuff. And how's the news media doing on fact-checking Kamala Harris from the big debate? Not very well, not very well. Because the news media, as you know, is the most corrupt institution in America. Speaking of the news media and lying, which they do an awful lot of, this amazing story out of Ohio with the Haitian immigrants by the tens of thousands going in and eating. Are they started eating people yet? Because they have this cannibalism problem in Haiti. Haiti. Nobody wants to be in Haiti. And the Democrats want to move them all to a state that they think it'll help, politically for them. Not the state. It'll just help the Democrat Party politically because they're not on our side. They're not on the side of the United States of America, not even close, but remarkable stuff. The stories coming out of Ohio, pretty remarkable stuff, but there was a young boy killed by a Haitian illegal alien that the Democrats just made legal aliens because they have power to abuse, and so they abuse it. But a Haitian who came illegally into the country and then was given a pat on the head by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So, no, you're fine. You can be here because we don't care about the law. We care about political power. And this Haitian man, he ran over and killed an 11-year-old kid. And the kid who was killed has a father. And the father, he went and gave a little speech. And boy, is he a Democrat. He's like, his son is sort of a sacrificial lamb, got to take one for the team. And he's like, he doesn't care so much about that as he does about politics. And well, do you hear what this guy had to say? The father of the little boy killed by Haitian driving a car. We played audio a couple of days ago. We might want that again today with the man talking about at the city council meeting talking about the Haitians driving through Springfield, Ohio, and flipping cars over and crashing in and terrorizing because, they don't know how to drive. But the Democrats give them driver's licenses anyway because that's part of the path to voting Democrat, even though you're illegally in the country because the Democrats. What is the turn of phrase again? Oh, yeah, they're not on our side. They're not on our side, the Democrat Party. Speaking of the Democrats not being on our side, I told you the story last week out of Colorado, out of Aurora, Colorado, where the Venezuelan gang took over an apartment complex. You've probably seen the video of the gang members, like 6 of them with guns in their hands, including a rifle and hoodies on in August, and that's okay. I know, but it was August then. It's September now, and they're wearing their hoodies, and one guy has a rifle. The Democrats would call it a combat-style assault rifle. And as long as they're in the hands of Venezuelan gangs in the United States, the Democrats are okay with that. And pistols, also handguns, these gang members going in and taking over apartment buildings, multiple apartment buildings, and banging the doors and they're threatening everybody. Somebody was shot there. Outside one of the in Aurora, Colorado, the Democrats have arranged for Venezuelan gangs to take over neighborhoods because the Democrats are not on our side. And remarkable stuff. Well, now the story is replicating itself in Texas, in the state of Texas, and it's this Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and we now call it TDA because we have to abbreviate everything, and now it's TDA, Tren de Aragua, so you don't have to sound like that. Nicaragua. Tegucigalpa, you have to sound Merio, Mexico, and Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang that the Democrats waved into the country by the thousands so they can kill your children because, they don't like people, the Democrats, and they figure fewer people, that's better, more parking for everyone, and it's better for the environment, isn't it, not having humanity loose on Earth. Remarkable stuff. Yeah, but the Tren de Aragua now taking over a hotel and beyond in Texas, and I'd like to think that Texas will deal with it. I have some reaction for you on that, which is happening in Texas with, again, large numbers of Venezuelan gang members taking over complexes and buildings, and there's video from inside the building, sexual assault of a child, and, the usual Democrat Party stuff. They're okay with that. Go to Epstein Island and ask. Remarkable stuff, but the Democrats everywhere. 3 city council leaders demand ouster of top mayoral aide who called police. I'm going to have to expletive deleted this. Beeping pigs, because Democrats, the Democrats don't like the police. They like Venezuelan gangs. They like criminals, but. 3 members of Mayor Brandon Johnson, let's go Brandon, in Chicago, where everything's going so well right now. 3 members of Brandon Johnson's city council leadership team and the police union president are demanding that Brandon Johnson in Chicago fire a top mayoral aide for calling the police beeping pigs. And then he openly talks about defunding the police and even the abolition of the police. I think it should be abolished in his neighborhood first and where his children go to school, if he has children, he may not. And then we'll check the body count afterward and see if it's increased or decreased, and we'll make decisions accordingly. But that's going on in Chicago because the Democrats are. They're not good people, are they, Michael? No, there's a lot going on with these people, but none of it good. Remarkable stuff. Also, there's a story out of Washington, D.C. I don't even know if I can find a way to tell it on the radio. It is so grotesque. It's a Democrat showing up on a woman's doorstep in Washington, D.C. He didn't want to talk to her or anything, but he did have a close personal relationship with the front end of her automobile, and it's on video. This story is not a normal story, and it's not for the faint of heart. And you may never eat another cucumber when you hear this story. Pretty remarkable stuff. Yes, sir. Also, across the United States today, the Democrats are staging their hate the Jew frenzy. They've got another Today, it's another day. Yesterday was September 11th. Today, the Democrat Party has thousands of glassy-eyed zombies that they trained and brainwashed and indoctrinated coming out on college campuses for the Hate the Jews Day. It's the Students for Justice in Palestine. Justice in Palestine might be a small thermonuclear weapon, but they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. Words like justice. The Anti-Israel Day of Action is taking place from coast to coast, mostly on college campuses, but perhaps beyond. And they're calling for the nationwide, in the United States, intifada. They want the intifada in the United States. That's the, constant state of war, perpetual war against civilization. And they call them SJP because we abbreviate everything. Students for Justice in Palestine, but they don't know what the word Palestine means. They don't know what the word justice means. And I don't think they know what the word students means, but that's it. That's their National Day of Action, September 12th. Why would they choose September 12th, the day after September 11th? Oh, I know. They're also planning on causing upheaval on October 7th because it'll be the first anniversary of the massacre, the biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust was put to an end in World War II. When we, the United States, America, and Western powers, when we stopped the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. And my father helped in that effort. He killed Nazis because it was the right thing to do at the time. No doubt about it. It's good to kill Nazis. And the Democrats, they call everybody Nazis if you're pro-American, right? And they call you all kinds of terrible names. They're remarkable. And today, they're having their Kristallnacht celebration. They should really celebrate Kristallnacht every year, too. You might as well. I mean, it's actually worse to celebrate October 7th, which they plan on doing. But in Democrat world, every Nacht is Kristallnacht. They love the night of broken glass, and they want more of it. And there are students returning to campuses today on the new Kristallnacht, the Democrat Party's Kristallnacht. Today, across the United States of America, mostly on college campuses, Students for Justice in Palestine, which means kill all the Jews and wipe Israel off the map from the river to the sea. They're not sure what river or what sea, but they know they want something wiped off the map, and they're planning their Day of Action, which is a slightly softened version of Day of Rage. And they vow the Intifada will continue, is what they're saying. The Intifada will continue. They're the white college kids wearing Middle Eastern, Arab headdresses, and they have their hate signs, which are professionally produced in union shops with, they've got the Students for Justice in Palestine and the Socialist Workers' Party and all that stuff on their signs. But they're planning on ripping it up at college campuses because, I guess somebody taught them to not like the Jews. I don't know when that happened, but here we are. Viola, as they say. Michael, let's take a telephone call. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to William, calling from Manassas, Virginia. William, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Uh-oh. William, you're almost on the Chris Plant Show. Let's go to, I'm going to have to explain something now. Today, we begin in a new studio. We have a brand new radio studio in the same building, but across the hall from the studio that we used yesterday. And it's our brand new studio with a lot of new buttons and new microphones and a new clock and all kinds of new things. The new microphone in my headphones sounds different. It sounds better, I've got to say. But that's not important right now. William, who just called in, young man, he said, listen, I know these guys are like the Students for Justice in Palestine, which are not Students for Justice in Palestine at all. They're just brainwashed, indoctrinated, left-wing, radical zealots, and perfect stooges for the Democrat Party. The Democrats hope they'll be lifelong Democrat Party voters now that they've been brainwashed and indoctrinated and all that good stuff. So quite remarkable that we have this going on today, and it's happening on campuses. at least, across the United States of America. And you might see them, they like to glue themselves to things and shut down highways and do all kinds of peculiar things. But let's just go to this one, a story out of Como, K-O-M-O. Students for Justice in Palestine plans day of action, vows intifada will continue. They vowed that the Intifada is a radical Islamic jihadi war against civilization. And we see it mostly against the Jews in Israel because, that's where they live. And the Democrats, along with jihadis, they're out to get the Jews. Perhaps you've heard something about this. So out of Washington, Students for Justice in Palestine, and then they have to put in parentheses SJP because everything must be an abbreviation, is calling for a national day of action to take place on U.S. college campuses on Thursday, the day after September 11th and the 23rd anniversary of the attacks of Al-Qaeda on the United States, crashing hijacked planes into the World Trade Center after slashing throats with box cutters and things. And the little darlings, the little charmers, they decided to go with September 12th because it'd be in poor taste, I guess, to choose September 11th. Organizers wrote via Instagram last week that the day is designed to send a back-to-school message to campus leaders. It's a back-to-school message, and most of the campus leaders are down with the jihad, too. Even their Jews hate Jews. It's kind of a remarkable time to be an American. The group promised in the post that the student intifada will continue until disarmament demands are met. Well, your disarmament demands will never be met because civilization is going to need to defend itself from savagery. And me, I'm on the side of civilization. I like civilization better than savagery. Call me old-fashioned, but the back-to-school in Gaza day of action. The student intifada continues until divestment and until arms embargo. The arms embargo, not against Hamas, which is a radical Islamic terrorist organization, a genocidal gang of racists that has the full support of, in particular, young Democrats across the United States, but not entirely the young Democrats. Remarkable stuff. Continue until the demands of the organization are met. Our universities have done everything in their power to ignore and reject our demands. They have a list of demands. They should really be beaten with rubber hoses until their demands are met. Our demands for divestment, dodging accountability by suspending and surveilling students. The group's words in their statement. Administrators far and wide have chosen to unleash police violence on students. No, actually, the Students for Justice in Palestine have unleashed violence on people because they're Jewish. They might be wearing a yarmulke or a Star of David around their neck, and these people will violently attack them like they're Nazi forebearers. They should really be wearing armbands, don't you think? I really think so, because this is very disturbing stuff. Administrations far and wide, school administrators, have chosen to unleash police violence on students rather than end complicity in the Zionist occupation. When they say Zionist occupation, what they're talking about is the existence of the state of Israel, the only Jewish state on the planet. And that's what they object to, is the existence of the state of Israel. It's the Zionist occupation. Me, I'm an Irish Catholic, mostly from Chicago, and I'm a Zionist. And that's so they hate me for that. They hate me for several other things, too. Being straight, being a white male, being Christian, being pro-American, and being pro-Israel, because they're against civilization, and that's what the little darlings are being brainwashed to become radical, anti-civilizational zealots. However, our administration's repression, they're being repressed. Help, come witness the repression inherent in the system. They're really, it's kind of like Monty Python. If the Monty Python people were really mentally ill, because it's amazing, the repression. They say they're being repressed. Yes, sir. They say that their repression will not succeed. I certainly hope that it does. We, the student movement for Palestinian freedom, the Palestinians have been free for a long, long time, in the freest country in the entire Middle East. That's Israel. And they gave them Gaza an area more than twice the size of Washington, D.C., but with 25 miles plus of Mediterranean beachfront property. So it should be real nice. But the problem is it's full of savages. It's occupied by savages, murderous, genocidal, bloodthirsty savages, and that's a problem. Now, I know we have some audio. In fact, you have the Ronald Reagan. I mentioned the Ronald Reagan soundbite because Ronald Reagan in 1962 at a speech in California talked about the future, and he sent a kind of a warning sign.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Sounds like a good idea. I think the more control of your own destiny thing is better and, less totalitarianism because I'm sort of old-fashioned when it comes to that sort of thing. I like less fascism. Again, as many of you know, my father himself took some time out of his youth to go over to Europe and kill a lot of these Germans wearing funny helmets and things like that. And they're the bad guys. They're the very definition of the bad guys. And now we have these thousands and thousands, if not billions and billions of college students that self-describe as liberal, and they're out there advancing a cause that is shared by Hamas and Al-Qaeda and the Ayatollahs in Iran, and for that matter, the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. That's pretty remarkable stuff. Now, Michael, we have a couple of college students from the television this morning, and I was watching the television nice and early for you. Let's go to, first of all, day before yesterday, a gang of pro-Hamas, anti-Israel college students that self-describe as liberals showed up in Philadelphia, and they were out there doing what they always do, condemning the police, because the police are, the KKK and they're all the same, the police and the KKK and who else? Because they don't civilization. This was Philadelphia, the birthplace of, the sacred documents of our culture, of our country. Philadelphia, day before yesterday.
PPD, KKK, IDF, they're all the same. PPD, KKK.
That's the PPD, is the Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Police Department, of course, is the PPD, and KKK, that's the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, which was created by the Democrat Party and a leading Democrat by the name of Nathan Bedford Forrest. And the only Klansman I ever met was a Democrat senator from West Virginia named Robert Byrd, the only one I know I ever met, and he was a friend of Joe Biden's. Joe Biden, who didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle when they were racially integrating schools in Delaware, a bit late, I might say. And so they're chanting PPD, Philadelphia Police Department, KKK, IDF, Israeli Defense Force. They're all the same. See, they're the bad guys. They know who the bad guys are. It's the police and the Israeli Defense Forces. And they're right about the KKK. Their party probably shouldn't have created the KKK in the first place. It's America's oldest terrorist organization, unless you count the Democrat Party, which was there beforehand to create the KKK. Then they gave us Jim Crow, and they gave us all these other luxuries that
WMAL traffic
Democrats
from the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center. I'm Steve Hirschhorn.
Student from Hunter College in New York,
Boulevard down to
Gideon
124,
Askowitz.
and after that,
and Gideon Askowitz last week, last school year, got a little bit of notoriety because he was violently attacked on campus by a mob of these self-described liberals that attacked him violently because he was wearing a yarmulke. How dare he, which might suggest that he's Jewish. So the mob attacked him because, the Israeli Defense Force, the KKK, and the Philadelphia Police Department. This is what the Democrat Party's been teaching on college campuses for years while so many were not paying attention. Remarkable stuff. But Hunter College student Gideon Askowitz this morning in the 5 a.m. hour on the Fox News Channel.
We saw several months ago, you might remember, we had the TikTok trend of these students praising Osama bin Laden. These students openly call for the destruction of America and celebrate terror, it does not surprise me that they would do something like this the day after 9/11.
Yeah, why did they choose September 12th? Yesterday was September 11th. It was the anniversary of, the World Trade Center towers coming down, the Pentagon being hit, the plane going down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. You may be aware that I was at the Pentagon on that day 23 years ago yesterday, arriving in the parking lot, going to my parking space. My office was in the Pentagon at that time for about 10 years. And then the jihadis crashed a plane full of innocent Americans into the side of the building, and they murdered a whole lot of people. And I'm no fan of radical Islam, and I'm not a big fan of wiping Israel off the map, because one side is civilization and the other side is barbarity, savagery, and the end of civilization. And the Democrats are raising generations to advocate for the side that represents the death of civilization itself. Now, why would that be a problem? And we have a news media that acts like there is nothing to see here, as is so often the case, like when Democrats are rioting and burning cities and overturning police cars and looting. In fact, again, we just had looting in our neighborhood night before last? It was 3 nights ago. And they looted the Saks Fifth Avenue over here, just a couple blocks away on Wisconsin Avenue. A mob of, I don't know how many, but they smashed through the place, and they looted the Gucci store down at City Center. They're going for the high-end stuff. No looting at Kmart or TJ Maxx. They've upscaled their looting. And there were 3 sites on Wisconsin Avenue. Wisconsin Avenue is a block from this radio station. 3 sites on Wisconsin Avenue looted by Democrats. And they say, the news media says that, and 5 or 6 different locations in Washington were looted by the Democrats. And this is all fine. It's, if they're Republicans, the news reporting might be negative when it comes to from the river to the sea, wiping Israel off the map and supporting a radical Islamic terrorist group that is a gang of genocidal racists. Now, that might reflect negatively upon you if you were just a Republican voter. If you're a Democrat voter, it's no big deal, honestly. Remarkable stuff. And then the Democrats, they say it was because video was released, body cam video of a D.C. police officer who shot a guy in Southeast D.C., and the guy was killed by the police. Police shot him because the guy was so hammered that he crashed a car into a McDonald's, and, where you get a tasty burger and fries, crashed his car into it late at night and then passed out and then crashed into the McDonald's. Hard to say. And when the police got there, a dude was passed out in his vehicle, but he had a gun laying in his lap, and they're knocking on his window like, "Hey, dude." And then he grabs the gun and goes, to point at the police, which might indicate he's going to shoot and kill the police. They're not going to go home to their children and their wives that night. So they fired and they killed the guy. And then when the body cam video was released, the Democrats looted Saks Fifth Avenue because that's the natural response, and the Gucci store. What else would you do? Well, there was no loot lemon around, and no Louis Vuitton, which they normally loot. Isn't that amazing? So this is your Democrat Party today. And if our news media covered this stuff with an even hand, we'd have a very, very different country. Gideon Askowitz, preparing to return to college today in New York City.
A lot of the security people are telling me that the universities are deciding to be unprepared and that they're negotiating with these students. They have in advance worked out with these students that they're not going to face any jail time for assaulting students, and they are colluding with people higher up in the Democratic Party.
They've decided to be unprepared, and they have agreed that nobody will be arrested, and you can attack the Jews and you can cause lots of damage. Gideon Askowitz.
Alvin Bragg was very much involved in getting off the students who were assaulting people and burning down hundreds of thousands of dollars of campus property in that one instance in particular.
The left-wing radical district attorney in New York, a George Soros prosecutor, he was directly involved, says Gideon Askowitz, in making sure that people were not prosecuted, were not arrested, were not prosecuted. Gideon Askowitz.
I am going to school today, and it will be interesting. I mean, students take pictures of me in the hallway. Everyone knows who I am. And
they take
not
pictures.
Not for good reasons. I wish that, I had more affable relationships with my classmates. I try to be friendly, but unfortunately, they see me as somebody to assault. I had a student once text me that she overheard other students planning on jumping me. And a lot of students feel quite scared of going to campus.
Now, let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's speak to Connor calling from Huntsville, Alabama. Connor, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. This is the caller formerly known as James, still reserving the right to be wrong because, unlike you, I frequently am. With your fake fact checkers at ABC, it's important to remember that these are the people that think they should be the information gatekeepers on the Internet. I think it's instructive for Democrats to remember that, Democrats and Republicans are being hurt by the fake stories that were covered up out of Ohio. So it's not a Republican versus Democrat information war. It's a power elite versus everybody else. So, I don't think that's registering with some Democrats that they are not going to be exempt from the damage caused by the information constipation.
Well, you raise several interesting points, I think, Connor, formerly known as James. Look, you can identify by whatever name you prefer, and as we know, whatever gender you prefer. I think whatever race and the whole range of things that are available to you in the modern world.